Yeah.
Yeah, recording in progress. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go live. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Refresh, refresh. And ladies and gentlemen, people, yeah, I think we are live, Thamicha. So if you want to go and you want to go in, I see us on the Facebook Live, girl.
All right, let me go reshare that real quick. Let me go reshare
yes.
that. Gotta reshare that.
Yes.
Ooh, with my Facebook.
And while you reshare, I am going to introduce you. Okay.
All right, she
yes,
ready.
She ready. So, ladies and gentlemen, people of the world, welcome to the Community Spotlight Project. Tonight, I have a very special guest. Her name is Thamicha Isaac, and it's someone who I have the pleasure of working with. And up until recently, I really got to hear her story. And I said to myself, oh my God, like everyone else has to hear this story because this woman is powerful and she needs to share her story for the people of the world. Okay. And and for people who don't know, the Community Spotlight Project is just that. It's just a spotlight because there are so many people in our community that, you know, have wonderful, powerful stories that are relatable. And that's what it's all about, so that we can come together and especially in times like this, we can come together and raise each other up at the end of the day. And so without any further ado, let me read Thamicha's bio. All right. So Thamicha Isaac is an award-winning philanthropist, founder, and CEO of Miizmisha's World Empowerment. Thamicha Isaac, entrepreneur and motivational speaker, is an openly positive HIV activist of a global empowerment movement, gaining recognition for her activism. I get to see what she does at AHF. She does work with me, but we haven't had the opportunity to really be in each other's presence and be in each other's space. And so many people have said, oh my God, like you guys like are like of the same world. And recently we had the pleasure of literally sitting down together and filming a web series about safer sex. And that's when I really was like, oh my gosh, like I can't hold back any longer. Like we really need to do something together. And we doing it for the people of the world. So without any further ado, Thamicha, if you would like to share your bio for everyone who is watching.
Of course. So like Jomil said, I am a philanthropist. I am a woman who is living and thriving with HIV, but I am so much more than my diagnosis, right? I am a mother. I am an advocate. I am a hard worker. I am an entrepreneur. I am a daughter. I am a sister. But most important of all, I am a woman. A woman. Okay.
Yes.
A woman that is living authentically in all of her truth. My bio can go on and on and on, but it doesn't encompass the real me, the authentic me. You have to truly experience me to get to know the full version of me. Like Jomil said, people have told me that I need to meet him. We do work in the same working environment, but then having to film that web series the other day and being in each other's presence really showed how much we are the yin and the yang of each other. And it's the weirdest thing, but I love it. I love it. I love it. And I am so honored to be here with you, Jomil. I am so honored for your platform, for sharing your platform with me, and for sharing space. You know, as a cisgender, you know, I identify cisgender woman, and you identifying as queer.
Yeah, she gay, she gay,
right?
she queer,
she gay, she queer, she gay. Okay, male. So often we don't get to see these two worlds collide or these two worlds together, sharing space, not only sharing space, but opening space and respectfully opening space and allowing each other to vibe, to thrive, and to share, you know, our lived experience and our thoughts around the things that we do within our communities. Because I say this all the time, we're all advocates in our own world, and we all advocate differently, right? You may advocate for a specific thing, but at the end of the day, we all want what? Change. And change starts with who? Us.
That's right. Amen. Amen. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I couldn't have said it any better. And like you said, you know, I think the reason that your story is more powerful is because, especially for me, your story is more powerful because it's almost like when we work in this field of public health and we do HIV prevention and things like that, I know for myself, I've always seen like more or less the same groups, right? We're targeting, MSM, gay men. And when we talk about things like even PrEP and, people were always like, boys, boys, boys. It was always like the boys, right? But what's up with the girls? The girls got to protect themselves too, and for the first time, like, I hear your story and how you identify and, you say that you like, I am a cisgender female, but I'm here and I'm in the trenches and I'm right there with y'all. You know what I mean? And I thought that was so powerful. So I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for being brave enough to share your story, because trust me, girlfriend, I know it's not easy. And I know we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight.
We're about to get into that, some deep stuff.
Yes.
Get your tissues.
I know. So definitely. So if you could just share, on a lighter note, if you could share like a fun fact about yourself, or what have you been doing, like maybe during the pandemic, to stay busy and to,
God,
have fun.
Absolutely. So just like you, throughout prior to the pandemic, so I sit on CAPCO's board. So CAPCO is the Coalition on AIDS in Passaic County, and I started like a group therapy with them for their clients. And when the pandemic hit, I was like, oh my God, all these people who are positive, who relied on this group, what's going to happen with them? What's going to happen to them? I know for so much of them, this was like, coming to group was one of their highlights. So what I did is, not only did I start a group virtually, I also started something called Thursday Talk with Misha on Instagram, where I would I would highlight advocates in different states, different cities, who will talk about what they're doing within their advocacy world. And we will go live every Thursday at 7. So, pre to post COVID, actually, Thursday Talk with Misha was born, and that's what I've been doing. And then that transitioned into me coming to work at AHF temporarily, then turned in permanently. And it's just been growing and growing. And I get to meet people like you and Jessica and Jason and all the amazing people that I work with at AHF. And it also allowed me to not only do my first philanthropic effort work by going back home and giving back to my country, St. Martin, my island. Me and another fellow advocate went back and we hosted a series of events for a week with, disseminating information, also talking about PrEP, talking about U equals U. And then we host a private event for 10 women on the island living with HIV to pour back into them, to let them know that HIV is not a death sentence and it's not the end of their story, but a beginning to a new chapter and a new story in their lives. And for me, not only was that humbling, but it shows how much each of us doing our work, our little part of the work, is going to, come into a bigger, grander thing. If we really want to end the epidemic of HIV and AIDS and transmission, it's going to take all of us collectively to do our part in our communities, our part in our parts of the world, and then coming together. Because what's going to happen is, if we don't come together, you're going to be doing your part, I'm going to be doing my part. But then what happens when we come collectively together to really, really make the change? Because like you say, yes, we focus on the boys, but the girls, the cisgender girls, they are disproportionately affected too. They are highly affected as well, and at risk as well, right up there with the boys. So, we have to do our due diligence to make sure that they get this information, that PrEP is available to them, that U equals U is out there and exists, and it's here for them. Because guess what? HIV ain't going nowhere. No time soon.
No time soon, exactly. Until the day that a cure comes out, ladies and gentlemen, it ain't going nowhere. So at the end of the day, whoever got the Superman complex, I had it once in my life. And it happened to me, and but thank God that years later, still here and kicking, and she ready, and you too, and you ready, but Yeah, I'm so happy so I didn't know that you were from St. Martin specifically. I knew you were a
Yeah,
Caribbean girl, but I didn't know that. Wow. So I've actually had the
yeah.
pleasure of going to St. Martin, a beautiful country, beautiful.
Yes.
And the fact that you were able to give back to your community. Oh, that is beautiful. Isn't that like something that like when we're kids and when we're growing up, we always say like, wow, like I wish I could give back to like where I came from. Yo, you actually did it. That is
Still
beautiful.
doing it because
Yes.
we have an MOU with an organization in St. Martin called the AIDS Foundation St. Martin,
Mm.
who is Dr. Vanash is the CEO of AIDS Foundation St. Martin, and with his associate Miss Judith Bell, they have an MOU with AHF that I have helped put in place, and we give them condoms, we give them test kits, and whatever they need when it comes to prevention, as long as we could provide and as long as AHF allow me to provide, we provided for them. So even though I'm not on the island anymore, I'm still doing my part by helping them and participating in anything that Dr. Vanash wants, because he is one of the leading infectious disease specialists on the island. And
Wow.
I was actually honored to be able to meet him while on the island and have him on my panel when we had our show on the island. And it was just phenomenal, just life-changing in general. And not to mention that I am the first St. Martiner to ever be public about her status. So I
What?
made history.
Yo, you made history. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful,
Yeah.
especially, and if you really think about it, that's big, that's huge, right? Because, it's like, right, St. Martin's an island, it's a small country, you know what I mean? I'm sure that things sometimes, in the Caribbean can be very hush hush. Like, we don't talk about this, this is not in my family, right? Not in my back door, and it's very hush hush.
Right.
The fact that you were like, nah, I'm gonna make this public, I got the support, and that you were fearless because you knew that your voice was going to make an impact, and that's the most important thing. And honestly, that's again, community spotlight. It's about this. It's about making an impact, even when you're the most scared. It's about just having that moment of believing in something because you know it's right, and just going with it and saying, "Yo, you never know what the fullest potential is until you do it." And look at what you accomplished. So that's
Because it
beautiful.
wasn't about me, you know. It
Exactly.
wasn't about me. It's never about me. And like I say this quite often, this advocacy work that I do, it's never about me. It's not about me. God is using me as a vessel, but it's
Yes.
never about me. I
Exactly.
only flow and go where he wants me to go, because if he don't want me to be a part of something, guess what? I'm not going to be a part of it. If he don't want me to participate in certain events and certain things and on certain platforms, guess what? I'm not going to be there, because it's that's not where he wants me. That's not where he want me to be. And that's where that we all advocate at different levels come in. There's some advocates who do legislation. There's some advocates who rally around, certain things. And I'm more of like your motivational advocate, because I'm gonna get you up and I'm gonna get you active and I'm gonna prep you up, and we gonna go do this.
That's
I'm
right.
the one that they call to make you leave from contemplation, pre-contemplation, and into some action.
That's right. Stages of change, ladies and gentlemen. Stages of change, and she will take you all the way through. I
You know
love
what
it.
I
Yes,
mean?
yes. Oh, you taking me to school? You taking me back. Stages of change. OMG. I love it. I love it. We're gonna have to. That's like I'm gonna have to make that into a T-shirt or something. Like I will take you from pre-contemplation to action. I
Right?
love it.
That
Like,
needs to be on a t-shirt, because I
yeah.
mean, there's so many people, right, who, when like you were in testing, so you know how that is when you get that reactive and that person is not prepared for that result.
Mhm.
and and their mind, they going at war. We could
Yep.
see them
Yep.
going at war, because we was once in their shoes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when, I don't know for you, but for me, I always have a conversation with them and let them know that not only can they go on medication, and it's not just medication and holistic, it's medication and holistic. So it's not either or, it's
Mm-hmm.
together,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because a lot of people are skeptical on going on meds because of the side effects, because of the bone densities, and all of the things that they see on the news, the negative, stereotypical misinformation that they either hear from a third party that knows nothing about nothing, or that they probably seen circling around on Facebook or Google. Like, in situations like this, you want to stay away from all of this stuff. You want to stay away from the Googles. You want to stay away from the TikTok doctors and all these other people. And you really want to come to the professionals, because we are going to guide you, because we've lived this experience and we know how to get from point A to point B. Like, for me, I've been diagnosed 19 years and I've only become public 4 years ago. But that's because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I also was in one of the worst places of my life. I was in one of the worst places of my life. I was at rock bottom. I had no job. I had no house. I was at the bottom. So where do I go from the bottom? Up. And how do I go up? I had to go in. I had to go in. I had to free myself and relinquish certain things and unlearn certain things about myself, about my environment, about what I would tell myself or what I will allow others to tell me, in order for me to be vibrant, for me to thrive, and for me to fully live me, live 100% me, without regrets, without shame, and without boundaries.
Yes.
Because my worth knows no bounds. And I'll be damned if I allow anybody else to put their perimeters of what they think I should be doing or what I should look like on me. I've done that for 17 years. You had 15 to 17 years to do that to me. You are no longer allowed. I have relinquished that power and I reclaim my time.
That's right. OMG. Oh, so much right there. So much powerful stuff. But I definitely wanted to just touch on the fact that you mentioned how as we grow up and as we get older, we have to unlearn so many things that maybe worked for us, but they no longer work for you later in life, because they were maybe, they worked for a little bit. That was survival. But later it's unhealthy. It's people take advantage. You gotta put up the boundaries with your own life, because it's about you. It's not what somebody else puts on you anymore. So much to unpack there. But I'm happy you said it, because it's so powerful. It's so powerful. You know what I mean? And I think that for the younger generation that's maybe watching this, that will watch this, they're gonna, maybe one day be like, oh my gosh, like really? Again, like going back to that Superman complex, just because they're not living it, they sometimes think, oh, it's not my problem, right?
But I'm untouchable. I'm invisible.
Exactly. And then for the older generation, who maybe, we've also idolized and learned from, when we're like, life changes. You go through different stages and you will realize, like, hey, what was healthy for me at one time is not healthy for me now. And that is what is causing, you to change. You have to. And life is about changing. I think, didn't you start with that? Didn't you say something about change in the beginning, or am I thinking something else? I don't know. I heard change somewhere.
I did say, when I talked about the behavioral of change, when we went from, like pre-contemplation, contemplation, and into action, like it's the same with, okay, when we were at the show, remember we talked about how depression, anxiety, it rules our world. And then receiving a diagnosis such as being HIV positive, you already, again, we were talking about how in our Caribbean culture, because you yourself are also a Caribbean person, a Latino, we're both Latinos and Latina, by the way. And even though I always identify as a Latina, I am a Latina. And it's like within our cultures, we often put stigmas on things that's meant to help us. But because of how we grew up, we will not accept or be in denial of the help that we of the help that we possibly need, right? So prime example, I'll use myself. I'm a chronic person who suffers from anxiety, but nobody will ever know that unless I say it. I've recently started therapy. I've recently started taking meds, because for a long time, I refused to take meds for several reasons. One, I was in denial. Two, if I did it, society said that I'm crazy because I want to better myself. But now the reason why I'm in therapy and the reason why I'm taking medication is because I don't want to relapse into the bad behaviors and the comfortability of being anxious or being depressed have caused me or crippled me for so long in my life and in my diagnosis. So I'm in therapy because I don't want to relapse, Jomil.
Right. Yep.
I'm
Because
not
it's
in therapy
exhausting.
because I really need the help or because I really want to be in therapy. I'm in therapy because I'm scared of going back to the things that I no longer want to be.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's exhausting. It's mentally and physically exhausting to just go through the anxiety every day, to go through these emotions of the depression and just to think, to keep on thinking and thinking because the mind, let me tell you, it's one thing you'll learn in therapy, is that the mind, it could work with you or against you, and a lot of times the chatter is all the chatter, you have to learn how to like refocus and rechange that conversation to something positive, which you obviously are doing. No, and it's beautiful, and so for and something about us Caribbean folk and blacks and Latinos, we don't grow up with therapy, so we think like, nah, I don't need that, but let me tell you, it would change your life.
It will. And sometimes for the better if you know how to use it,
Mhm.
right? So I'm on hydroxyzine. Hydroxyzine is like the lowest medication that a doctor could prescribe for someone in my condition. But that's because I was very clear with my doctor. I told him that I didn't want something that was going to make me non-functional because in the past, that's what happened. I would be on these medications and I'm no good to myself. I'm no good to my family. And I couldn't keep a job. I would either quit or get fired. And sometimes intentionally, subconsciously intentionally, because I couldn't function. I couldn't get up. I would take this medication and it would make me very logy and or very zombie-ish. And it's like, what's wrong with this girl? Like, I'm like,
Exactly.
no, I don't want to be like that. So
Exactly.
I was very clear when I spoke to my doctor. And one thing that a person can do for themselves is be the best advocate. Being an advocate for others is great. But when you can advocate for
Yes.
yourself, self-advocacy is necessary
Oh, yes.
in all facets of your life. It's necessary because I was clear with him, he understood what I wanted. He understood that I didn't want anything to make me non-functionable. So he gave me one of non-addicting and lowest dose that you could give someone, especially starting out with anxiety medication. So for me, I'm grateful for my doctor. I'm grateful that he not only respected my choices and decision, but he also gave me the choice to have a say and what was given to me. Because oftentimes we hear stories of people not knowing how to advocate for themselves, two, the doctors is giving them things that's not good for them, and they don't know how to speak up and say, look, this is not working for me.
I agree. I agree. And people are scared because they think of doctors sometimes as the end all be all, like they're God. But no, you can switch up your doctor. You can advocate, like you're saying, you can advocate for yourself, and you can say, no, I don't really want that. Let me get a second opinion. Boom. you know,
Exactly.
but thank God that you found something that works for you. You know what I mean? And that you feel like yourself, because trust me, it's like the worst, because at the end of the day, we're all walking through life and we're all walking through this world and nobody really sees our pain and struggles, you know what I mean? But that's why it's so important to like share, because you never know, it could be like the next person that literally is like, oh my gosh, like I totally feel you. I totally feel the same way. You know what I mean? And then so
Yeah.
that they don't have to suffer alone, because so many people, who knows, when they go home, they might just go straight to bed because of the depression, the anxiety, the social anxiety. Maybe, they don't want to be around people because they're suffering, and you do not. The lesson of the day is you do not have to suffer alone. And self-advocacy, let me tell you, that's something that I don't think you even hear too often. You hear advocate, advocate, advocate always for these other things, but it's almost like right up there with love yourself, right? Part of loving yourself is to advocate for yourself, and there's different ways that you can do it. And one of the ways is professional help. Sometimes you can start there. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of free resources for people who think that therapy is like back in the day. People used to be, that's extra. I'm like, I can't afford that. If you don't have insurance, there's so many like online websites that now that I've searched for like queer specific mental health resources. There's for women, there's for substance use mental health services. There's so many. So definitely.
And now with COVID, not to cut you off,
Oh, yeah.
now with COVID, mental health has become an essential.
Yes.
So if I don't know if I'm sure every insurance did it, because I know I receive a letter not only for myself but also for my kids that they can receive a certain amount of mental health sessions through our insurance now.
Yep.
So that's an amazing thing, because I think that everybody should have had that prior to COVID. COVID shouldn't have happened to implement essential healthcare necessities that we needed. But anyway, thank you, COVID, for that, because we definitely needed it.
Exactly.
So yeah, and there's, like you said, there's so many different resources, like there's better help, and now because of the surge, because of COVID, there's a waiting list for you to get therapy too.
Yep.
That's
Exactly.
another issue now.
Exactly.
So on my search to finding a good therapist, I actually went through so many different ones. And then I've been on waiting lists for months, until like recently, I finally found one, and I got put on the list, and I got my therapy, did my session, my intake, my eval, and everything 1, 2, 3. And now I get to speak to a therapist. I get to speak to my therapist every Thursday for 45 minutes every week. And it's been good for me.
Yep. Beautiful. I'm telling you, don't sleep on therapy, y'all. Don't sleep on therapy. So just to recap a little bit. So tonight, we're talking to Thamicha Isaac. We're talking about, the strong, empowering woman that she is, but also, the life struggles, the trials and tribulations. We're touching on everything from like the mental health to the self-advocacy, a little bit of everything. And there's so many things that, in life, sometimes you think that things have to be so structured that you're supposed to reach a certain point. You're supposed to do this the way, like, to reach the ladder. But no, life changes and life goes like this and up and down. And we all know that.
Life is not a straight line. Life is all about the curve and turns, the ups, the downs, the topsy-turvies. And sometimes it brings you right back around to certain things, because you missed a few points and you missed a few, signs in the road. So it will bring you right back around to teach you the lesson until you pass that test. So yeah, life is definitely not a straight line. It's definitely twists, turns, ups, downs, and curves.
Exactly. OMG. So kind of like along those lines, this question, so I wanted to just give you like an example. So I remember like in like my 20s, I always tried to, I knew who I was, like Jomil Luna himself, but then every time that I was like at work, I was like this prim and proper, like professional, right? You think you have to like live up to this standard of who you're supposed to be. And so the question that I wanted to ask is, do you feel that your personal and your professional life live separately, or do they come together?
So prior to 2017, my professional and personal life was separate. Post 2017, both my professional and my personal life has married each other, and they're one. And for me, it's been a beautiful thing, because I no longer have to hide who I am. I no longer have to pretend to be someone else. I no longer have to put on a face or a voice, so to speak. I am this person 24/7, 360 days of the year, of the week, of the month. This is me. Exactly. This is me today. This is the person you met at a party, the person you met on that couch. This is me. I do not feel like I have to I fired my representative. Let's just say that.
I love it. And and the reason that I think that that's such an important question, and thank you, for sharing, because I think times are changing where it's like the personas have to be so like on polar opposites, and I think that that's also what affects people sometimes in their mental health, because you really can't be yourself, you know what I mean? And if you could really just be who you are, whether or not it's like being openly HIV positive, whether or not it's being LGBTQ, you know what I mean, on the spectrum, whether or not you live in the hood or you live in the really fancy place, it's like so many stories that people have, but sometimes there's so many secrets, right, that we carry, and it locks us, it bogs us down, it weighs on our shoulders. So that's why I definitely wanted to ask that question, because I think it's important for us to know, like, there are opportunities out there. I don't know if you heard recently, but so many people are quitting their jobs because they're like, I don't think so. The times of
It
being unhappy.
affects you. It affects who you are as a person, and it
Mhm.
affects who you are to your core. And one thing I must say that COVID has done is it put a magnifying glass on how toxic this world is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, from our employers to our family members to our friends, like, it really, like, it like the magnifying glass was like this big. And it was like, shit.
Uh-huh.
Like, if I don't do something to change or to
Yep.
change this situation here, it's about to be the death of me, or I'm about to be in jail. And I don't look good in black and white stripes. So, I definitely think that this this route is an amazing route because it's liberating people. It's
Yes.
liberating people, and I think we're leaving from a generation or a time where the superiority and inferiority complex was
Mm.
a thing.
Hmm.
And now everybody is realizing, like, no, boo boo, we are all created equal.
That's right.
We are all, and what
Yep.
you have in your mind does not equate to who I really am or who you really are. And what you think of me is your business. It doesn't make it my reality. And I
Exactly.
feel like that's where people are setting boundaries,
Yes.
and they are sticking to them. And I'm loving it. I am loving it.
Yes. Yes. And exactly. And like you said, I think it's a magnifying glass. So the days of people putting up with, excuse my French, the shit, people talking down to you, people being disrespectful. No, I don't think so, because you have to self-advocate. I'm gonna use that word tonight. You have to self-advocate for yourself. You have to set the boundaries, right? You know what I mean? So do not feel that you have to settle, just
Absolutely.
because you're fearful of what? Losing your job? So many people, I know people right now, some of my best friends, they're like, I don't need to go back to work. Like, I'm
The
just gonna do
crazy
me.
thing is, there's places and countries who is paying for nomads to be to like it's the amount of money that's being disseminated in the world right now. Like, if you're broke, it's because you want to be. There's no reason why you're not making money somewhere somehow. Like, there's so many different avenues and different things now. Creativity is a thing, and
Yes.
that's what's thriving in the world right now.
Yes, yes, and thank God there's so many more outlets, right, for the people with creative outlets, people to speak out. Where before it was just like strictly you had to have your 9 to 5, but now, like, we have social media. You know what I mean? We have so many avenues, and you can get
And
paid.
these apps, they pay people like you and me to do this.
That's right. Hello, the sky's the limit.
You
Okay,
know what I'm saying?
you know.
Like, TikToks, every other week, TikTok sends me a little link to join their paid content creator fund, but I'm not ready yet. But I'm happy that I'm giving that option. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
exactly.
Like, I'm not ready yet. So I know that I'm not ready yet. So I'm not going to apply because I'm not ready. But at least they see something I'm doing that makes them reach out to me and be like, hey, like, just like today, some woman in Africa somewhere found me on IG and was like, hey, we're having a virtual conference and I would love for you to be one of my speakers. What's your fee? What's the email address for us to set that up? Like, I swear, people see me do things and they be like, oh, how she do this and how she do that. Put your content out there.
That's right.
Speak up.
Yep.
If you put yourself out there, trust me, God, the universe, Allah, whoever you believe in, whatever source you believe in, will match you and they will give you what your heart desires.
Yes.
I'm not bragging. I'm not boasting. I'm just saying, if you put yourself out there and these are the things that you want and you make it plain and you make it clear, the Bible says, write your vision down and make it plain.
That's right.
Write it down and make it plain. So why are we not doing that and practicing that every day in our life? I manifested working for AHF. I manifested doing everything that I'm doing right now, talking to you right now, talking on other platforms, having my own little things that I do. I manifested these things, being authentically me. I manifested these things. It didn't come just by me twiddling my fingers and feeling sorry for myself. Yes, I had to go through what I went through when being homeless. And I also had to recognize that I prayed for something. And in order for me to be blessed, God had to put me through certain tests to see if I was worthy of getting the blessings that I'm reaping right now. I know I'm taking y'all to church right now, but it's the truth.
No, and
for real.
Yeah, and the key word manifest, you have to manifest, because if you don't put in the work, you gotta do something. You, like you said, you cannot twiddle your thumbs and feel sorry for yourself. A lot of times we hear it, nobody else is gonna really feel sorry for you. You gotta get up and you gotta be tough and in your mind, and you gotta just get up and do it. Do something, even if it's this small, but just get up and, even if it's like literally getting out of bed.
And believe that you are worthy. Yes. Because for people like you and me, I know I don't have to tell you that because we're operating off the same type of energy. But for like people who watch this replay or watching right now, who's like, damn, I want to be like Jomil and Thamicha, or I want to be in a place in my life where I can be as vocal as Thamicha and as brave and as bold as Jomil. You can and you will be, but you have to believe it within yourself that you can be that, and don't set limitations for yourself, because that's when we cripple ourselves. When we set limitations on us, we set limitations on ourselves, and we allow other people to set their own limitation on what they think that we should be doing. Because I'm sure you get this still to this day. When you tell people you're HIV positive, they gag because they don't believe it.
All the time. Yep.
Same. Yep. Because in their mind, they're still thinking that people living with HIV is dying somewhere or living deplorable lives. And that is not the truth. People living with HIV is out here getting it, honey. They're out here working for a whole presidential campaign. They are out here working for their communities, their mayors, public health, you name it. They are out here doing it, okay?
That's right.
So we need to change that damn narrative that we are all out here looking like, I don't know, what's his name? What's that guy? What's that like Pookie from the corner.
I love it. OMG. Oh, it is the truth. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we touched on a few topics overall. Now, if you had to share, if you could, what would you say have been some of your biggest life lessons? Which I'm sure there's many, and
I've had many, but one of my biggest, I'm going to talk about a recent epiphany that I've had is the things that I use, and you touched on it earlier, the coping mechanisms or the tools that I have used, so to speak, when I was in survival mode that no longer serve me. I had to change them because it was toxic to me and toxic to the environment that I am growing into, because it no longer serves me. That those coping mechanisms, they no longer serve me. So I had to relinquish them and realize that I'm in a better place in my life, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So a lot of the things that I did to protect me from so many things, I no longer need them. I could put them to rest now.
Exactly.
I could put them to rest now. And like my 7-year-old self, like I had to really have a real conversation with her and let her know that we're okay now. We no longer have to be scared, and we no longer have to be as aggressive and be as violent, because we're okay. And
Mm-hmm.
she could go to sleep and allow me to be the woman that I am. Because I know people would be like, oh, Thamicha, like my mother, she always makes jokes and she's like, oh, Thamicha, you love sex, this, that, and the third. It's not even about that. Little did my mother know that I really had traumas around sexual encounters. My ex-husband could tell anybody that. But that's because my 7-year-old self would show up in those moments, and it wouldn't allow the grown woman to enjoy or process what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Now at 38, I can honestly say that the next person that I will ever be in a relationship or sexual encounter with will get to be with the grown me and not the 7-year-old me, because now I'm able to fully accept my womanhood and the woman that I have become. So the woman that I have become, she's intentional about what she does and who she does it with and how she does it, opposed to just haphazardly doing stuff or destructively doing stuff, because that's oftentimes when we're operating from our trauma self, that's what we do.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love that you said intention. When you really put like that intention behind it, and it's like that good intention, like really think about what the meaning of intention is. I remember when I first started to hear that word, and I was like, I honestly had to look up the definition, because I was like, what is this intention? And I heard Oprah talk about intention, all these gurus, but it's like such a powerful thing. If you go through life with an intention, and what does that really mean? And it means that you got to put some work behind it, but it will manifest, like you were saying earlier. Things will manifest, and you
It
can
will be exactly what you want and
what
how
you
you
want.
want it, and no other way.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
what intentional mean.
Mm-hmm.
Intentional mean that you're setting your mind, your idea, and everything that you're doing on a particular thing, and you are expecting that particular thing to manifest. There's two things that I learned in 2016. So I went to the Swedish Institute for applied science, right? Of course, I didn't graduate and I didn't finish because life was happening to me. And that was also around the time when things was happening, and then I was homeless and all this other stuff. So I took a break for a year that turned into 4 years later. But I met several friends at that school, actually. And one of them told me, she was like, Thamicha, you have to be intentional and impeccable. And just like you, I was like, what do you mean? She was like, you have to be intentional with your words, and you have to be impeccable with your actions. So you have to be intentional with the things that you say to yourself, the things that you allow others to say to you and over you. And then you have to be impeccable with your actions, because impeccable and intentionality goes hand in hand together. And sometimes we don't always know these things. We learn these things over time by reading books, by listening to gurus, or listening to talk shows, or our YouTube shows, or whatever it is we're listening to. Just like these TV shows and these things that all replaying in our subconscious. And if we're not intentional with how we're watching these things, it can manifest in our lives. And we're like, oh my God, I feel like this is a soap opera. But yeah, but that's what you do all day. You watch soap operas all day. So soap opera is playing out in your life because that's what you entertain.
Oh, I love that. So I learned something new today. So in terms of being intentional, you also have to be impeccable, because one is like the words that you choose, what your mindset is, and the other one is like the actions you put behind it. Oh, girl, that's powerful. I like that. I like that. I'm taking something with me into the new year.
Your eyebrows.
She ready. I love it. I love it. Something else I wanted to say, because I don't want to forget, is in my mind right now. But I was so happy like when we came together and I said, oh my gosh, like this is my for at least 2021, this is my last community spotlight. And I said, oh my gosh, how good and such good energy to like be with someone like you know what I mean? Like you were saying, the yin and the yang, and you know, we just have like this energy that we just want to do so much good for the world. You know, and it's just like, you know, and you doing it, girl. You know, I'm trying to do it,
Thank
and every
you.
day just putting the work behind it.
You are
Um,
doing it. What do
girl,
you mean
girl,
you're
you know, we
trying?
trying.
Stop it.
But you know, I'm so happy that it is you. I'm so happy that it is you. Um,
Thank you,
and,
Jomil.
and
I'm
yeah,
honored.
and so you know, before we end, you know, your life is obviously an inspiration. You are an inspiration, and I know that you're gonna go off into the world into 2022 and beyond, and you're gonna continue to inspire. So before we end, what are some of the things that you're working on, and how can people find you?
Sure. So what am I working on right now? So I'm working on creating a Spark New York chapter. So for yeah, so for anybody who's listening who is positive or who knows someone who's positive, they can follow me on Openly Positive on IG. Again, that's Openly Positive on IG, or Ms. Misha, Miizmisha 721. That's St. Martin's area code, on IG as well, or here on Facebook at Thamicha Isaac, or also Openly Positive on Facebook group, or Miizmisha's World Facebook group. I have two Facebook groups. They could find me there, and they can get on the mailing list, and I'll tell them when we're going to have chapter meetings and how to be engaged and informed. And of course, my website, www.openlypositive.com. That's how you find me. And also on TikTok, same, Miizmisha 721.
All right, y'all. So y'all heard it here. There are many ways to follow Miss Thamicha Isaac, and she is someone that you definitely want to follow, someone that you definitely want to watch, because amazing things are already coming from this woman, and amazing things are yet to come. So please
Amen.
stay tuned, right? And so I'm so happy again, like I said, that you definitely were one of my guests. You know, before we ended 2021. You know, it should have came sooner, but you know, God works in mysterious ways, and He knew how we had to come together, right?
That
Exactly,
part.
exactly. You
That
know,
part.
and my love, I can't wait to even be in your presence more, because
Same.
it's so powerful. I think having like hung out with you for that long, but literally like stand like only like feet away from you, it's like energy, just energy, but it's such a good way where you feel something, it's like vibrating, and I love that, and I think that that's what's so important. So definitely everyone, please share this, please like it. Thamicha, please, in the comments after we end, please drop all your social media. I'm gonna share this with you. I'm gonna download it, save the video, I'll share it with you. This will be up on YouTube as well. So
Oh,
everyone,
good.
yeah. So everyone stay tuned, because it's popping, it's going, and she ready. Okay, she ready, and she ready, and she ready, and she ready.
I love it.
All right, my
Thank
love.
you, Jomil, for having
Mwah.
me. I appreciate you.
You know I love you, baby. All right. Good night,
Love you
everyone,
too.
and thank you for
Good
watching.
night.
Bye bye.
Bye.